Hey everybody, this is Calvin and
Crystina.
all right, perfect. And so we've just been we're collaborating together, and we're had this. Christina brought this really great idea to me that I wanted to share with everybody, and because I think it really pertains to a lot of what people experience and what people go through, especially in network marketing or just being a mom or being in the office, whatever it is. The question that she asked me was how to maintain consistency when life happens, right? So when we think about that, what was the general context to that, Hibit?
Well, I was taking some time for myself and
Okay,
wanted to get 30 minutes in the sun. And as I started to get hot and uncomfortable, I was like, man, I really want to stay out here longer because I want to get a tan. And then I laughed because I went, how often do I come out and lay out at the pool and actually get some sun? And I thought, I'm not going to get much of a tan unless I do it consistently, which led me to think about the question that I posed to you, which was how do we do things consistently? Because like with a suntan, you've got to go out in the sun consistently, at least a couple times a week, if not every day, to maintain that tan. So how do we do that when life happens? And when we have the intention, like there's this program that I want to listen to and dive into some information. And let's just say they've come out with a second documentary series on this since I purchased the first one, which I haven't gotten into the information yet. And that was well over a year ago.
yeah.
So how do we in our business then and life in general maintain some sort of consistency when life seems to require a lot of spontaneous flexibility?
And I would say too the spontaneous flexibility is come in the back door. We thought technology was going to be something that allowed us to be able to go through life with more grace and ease and more of a schedule. And what's happened is because of technology, we're constantly being bombarded and also interrupted. A lot of times when we even want to take time for ourselves, like when we do a meditation, we're still at that place where we're like making sure that our phone's on silent, and if it vibrates, just in case somebody calls, we're available. And we're forgetting that it's okay to take time for ourselves, to and not worry about always having to be available for everything. If there's ever an emergency, I remember going through this uh, with my ex. It's like, well, aren't you gonna leave your phone on in the middle of the night? And I'm like, well, no. And it's like, well, what if there's an emergency? And I'm like, well, call 911. Like, I mean, that's what an emergency is. I'm not gonna come save you. It's like, we live hours away, so call somebody else that's closer and that can actually help. And so we're the reason for sharing that is to say that we're being constantly interrupted. Like Christina was just saying about a program. I remember when you and I started one of the programs with Kyle, we're thinking we're going to finish it this weekend, and then like 2 weeks later.
I think it's closer
But
to
the cool
four.
thing is, well, the really cool thing is, and you have to become aware of this, and you have to look at this in a perspective is going, why did it take us so long to do that program? Well, because we were actually doing the work. And when things would come up for us, we actually sat with it and processed it and had, long discussions and deep discussions and uncomfortable moments. And so like we allowed life to unfold. But, for a lot of people that will have to go to a job 9 to 5, have to come home and make dinner, have to do a schedule, bedtime routine. And by the end of the night, it's like, golly, when do you fit that time in? And so Christina was sharing something really great because I said, well, you know, how can you maintain it like these days? And you said what?
How can you maintain it these days? Oh, yeah.
How can you
Well,
maintain the
that's a really
consistency?
great question. I'm just totally into the conversation and listening to what you're saying and being present. But we maintain it by the only solution I can come up with is we maintain it by going within, by being still, and by sitting and building that relationship with ourselves. And you caught me off guard a little bit there because my mind was going on a tangent with time because that's a whole nother topic that needs to be addressed and a fresh perspective given to, where you can create more time. And by sitting and meditating and clearing the space and clearing out some of these repetitive thoughts that we have. What was that quote that we read recently where you have 80% of your thoughts are about the past and 95% of those thoughts are repetitive? And so if you could,
Or and negative.
Hmm? Oh, that's right. They were negative.
What was the
Were
negative? There
negative.
was, there was
You're
yeah,
right.
80% negative and 90%, 95% repetitive or something. You know what? Statistically, most statistics are made up on the spot, but that was actually something that she read.
It was something that I read where it was really powerful and eye-opening, because when you like stop and think about that, you go, wow, that is where the majority of us spend our day. And that's what I love about awareness. And that is like the absolute first step that you have to take to any change that you want to make in your life, because you can't make change if you're not aware that a change needs to happen. And so awareness is really, really important. And you have to become aware of what your thoughts are. So, wow, I have a lot of thoughts every day. Um, what are my thoughts? What's the one repetitive phrase that you say over and over? For me, it was, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. And when I became aware of, oh my gosh, I don't even know how many times I say that. I'm afraid to count. It's a lot every day. But when I became aware of it, I don't even know how much time had gone by, a couple weeks. I think it was just a couple weeks where I had that moment where I went, oh my gosh, I can't remember the last time I said in my mind, I'm so tired. And that was a cool moment, because these shifts happen sometimes simply by becoming aware, which is really, really amazing. Other times they take a little more effort and work, but that's always the first step, is the awareness. And I've gone
Yeah.
off on a tangent, haven't I?
No, a little bit, just a little bit, but that's okay because again, this is just a representation of what happens. How many times have we sat down to do an exercise or to put something together and then life happens, a conversation unfolds, an idea is sparked. Like you and I today, we sat down to meditate on that very couch today. And before we could even get to the timer on our phones, we had come up with 5 or 10 minutes of ideas about wanting to do things, and it's kind of like how do we incorporate that, and then you shared something that was really enlightening for me in the middle of our meditation, which was really cool because we're both sitting there with our phones, and I've always done it.
Ideas.
I've
We're
always like,
gathering ideas. Let them know we're not just
yeah,
sitting here scrolling through
but
Facebook. It was
yeah,
inspiration
yeah, yeah.
in the meditation.
But what no but my point was is that I've always sat there and captured ideas with my phone, but for whatever reason I'd open my eyes and you're over there like writing stuff down, and you had that guilty look, and then you're like, but this is when the ideas come, so why wouldn't I? And it's so true. We get so wrapped up in what we think we should be doing or how it's supposed to be done. And how many times have you, have I, has everybody had the most amazing thought, like the most amazing idea, the million, the billion, the $1 trillion idea, right?
So
When
good. I'll
Donald
remember.
Trump, the $1 trillion idea, and then you go, oh, but I'm meditating, and so I must remain calm and in my thoughts. And it's like, you know what? Screw that. Like, write the thing down. That's when the thought comes, because you're not watching or putting other stuff in. So write your thought down, because that's going to be the thing that transforms or changes your life.
Right.
Anyway, I went off on a tangent. See, so how to maintain consistency when life happens. So doing the inner work, which is why you even started your own company. Like, you're the CEO and founder of you want to tell people about your company?
On the inner.
And what's the tagline?
On the inner, it's a perspective thing, because and this goes right into what you were just sharing with, how do you maintain that consistency, right? It's perspective. So if we're meditating and I've got these rules that I have to follow that says, nope, you have to close your eyes and just be silent and be still for an hour, but I've got this really great idea that comes through and I go, oh, okay, but it's so great, I'll remember it, and then I'll write it down after my meditation. And then you have more thoughts that come, and then you get out of your meditation and you're going, what was that thought? Oh man, I was sure I'd remember that, you know? And so it's really shifting that perspective from, don't be so rigid with the rules. What if we become more flexible with our rules and our definition of things, which is where perspective comes into play. And we say, okay, I'm going to meditate, but the whole purpose of meditation is to tap into that inner creativity and wisdom that's flowing, and kind of let the thoughts go so that we can tap into that. And if a great idea comes through, that's the whole point. Like, there's your
Okay.
gem. That's why we
I,
meditate. Capture the thought,
I,
go right back into the meditation.
and I agree with you. I think it's a great idea, and this is what even stimulated us getting on this and recording it is, but you're telling me to go within, and I don't have time to do what I need to do on the outside. So how the hell am I going to take time to do it on the inside? How am I going to sit and do nothing when I don't have enough time to do everything else I've got to do?
I love that question because it's such a beautiful question. And the challenge with that, the problem that you create when you go, how am I going to have more time to do nothing when I've got all these other things that need my attention and are a priority and that I have to get done? So if you look at that thought, you're considering meditation, I'm going to sit and do nothing. That's the problem. Where if we change that perspective to, I'm going to sit and be, and I am going to just filter out thousands of thoughts and feel emotions that have been stuffed down, and I'm going to create space and clear things out. And whether I come out feeling like I'm floating on a cloud and I'm all peaceful, or I come out of it and go, wow, that was a lot of chaos and thoughts, that is the most valuable work that you can do. Whether you do it 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, an hour a day, it is absolutely the most valuable thing you can do. It's not doing nothing. It's the most valuable thing, the gift that you can give yourself. And because we don't see results like that the first time we do it, we go, wow, I didn't get anything done today. And this is like just the beauty of perspective. Those little tweaks that we make that make a huge difference in the quality of our lives.
Okay, and just so you know, like this is something we truly believe in. But here's the thing, though: this whole meditating thing, just meditate, right? For all you Will and Grace fans. So it's this idea of doing nothing is an epidemic. In fact, we believe in it so much that we have actually offered to pay our children to meditate because we know how important and how like valuable it is. And what's fascinating is that they will not even sit for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes and get paid to do it because it's quote unquote doing nothing. They're so overstimulated. They're so just over the top, like don't know what to do with themselves that they can't sit still for 5 to 10 minutes, right? And so do this for yourself and do it for the people that you love because it is something that is absolutely needed to be able to go within and just be with yourself. And I remember doing it. I've done it. I think my longest time I've done it is 4 hours, where it's just sitting with your thoughts, no music, no guide, no internet, no phone, no nothing. Just sit with your thoughts and watch what comes up. Because the way that I can best correlate this for people is thinking you're constantly putting information in, right? And what you put in is what you get out of life. And so it's the same thing with yourself. If you're constantly putting stuff in and you're never allowing stuff to kind of come through, I went through this experience where I was sharing with people, like, I feel like a fraud because I've been going to Tony Robbins and T. Harv Eker and Brian Tracy and all these people listening and learning and wanting more information. And in that process, I forgot who I was because I had been putting in so much information that when I would start to speak, it was like, wait, that's Tony Robbins. Wait, that's T. Harv Eker. And I started to think, well, who is Calvenn Starre? And so by meditating and contemplating, I've been able to become more comfortable with myself, which has allowed me to be more creative, more assertive, more powerful, more fun, more authentic. And so this process begins to happen where this is what's going to happen for you. It really can resolve a lot of issues when you start to let stuff come through in meditation and contemplation. To where I remember just a few weeks ago, Crystena and I were sitting there. It was like 2:30 in the morning. And she's like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "Let's meditate." Like we meditated for like an hour from like 2:30 in the morning till 3:30 in the morning, because it was like that was what we wanted to do. And that's where life is starting to come from. Life is coming from a space of just stillness, and that is much more healthier than I've ever imagined it could be.
Mm-hmm. The slow down and the be, and you will be amazed at how much life shifts and how much more time you find that you have and how much more peaceful and calm that you are. And everybody knows when we live the lifestyle that we have as a society, cholesterol's through the roof, diseases through the roof, stress is just, when we live in chronic fight or flight and that switch is always on, we are damaging in our bodies, and then we end up with disease because our bodies are amazing, but they can only do so much. And we do this chronically year after year after year, decade after decade. And so what meditation does, when you sit down and you decide to just be, and you make it a priority, and you go, this is the one most important thing that I can get done every day for my life, for my family, for my business, for my finances, everything. This is the one priority that is going to have the biggest effect everywhere in every area of your life. And when you sit down and you meditate, and I just totally lost my thought and where I was going with that.
No, it's okay, because you know, when you're going through this process, and at first it's really tough to sit and be still. But because what happens in the beginning is it's like an eruption. It's like a backdraft. You open this door, and all of a sudden you just, it's like, oh my gosh, everything starts coming at you. It's completely insane. You've got thoughts from, you know, childhood to exes to, you know, future thoughts to worries, fears, you know, concerns, hopes, dreams. All this stuff is coming at you. And that's what happens when it first explodes. And then over time, what happens is you become more and more still. Sure, the thoughts still come, the fear still comes, the worries still come. But then what happens is you begin to become very in tune with your body. And you start to realize that the reason these things are coming up is because they're wanting to be felt or heard. And so when you allow those things to happen, and you start to just really connect with the different thoughts that are coming up, it allows you to kind of move through them. And we hear about people talking about healing crises, and those are just moments of like intense stress because something needs to give. Like Crystena was just saying, your body and your mind can only do so much before it needs to release. And so just like your body will get sick, like you can go long and hard, and next thing you know, you get the flu, or you get an earache or a sinus infection, or you throw your back out. And that's because your body can only maintain so much before it needs to break. Same thing with you and burn the candle before you eventually have a breakdown, or you need to rest and relax. And so by giving yourself the contemplation or the meditation and being with yourself each and every day, you will begin to integrate exactly what it feels like to create this space for yourself to be able to be more consistent in your life, because you'll be able to, you start to learn, and this is what I've learned, by taking care of yourself, you become the most important part of your life, because you realize that you're the center of it. Then you can actually have more time and energy to take care of other people, but you've got to love yourself. You've got to pay attention to yourself first, and that will give you more to be able to give. It sounds really crazy. I'm sure Crystena is going to clean this up for us.
Well, yes, you got me back around to where I had left off with my thought, and that when we live in chronic stress, we deteriorate. We have less and less to give. We're shorter with our partner, with our kids. We snap. We are frustrated. We're like, can't wait for happy hour or whatever it is to just, relax. We want to relax so bad because we go so hard all day. And that's the benefit and the gift of making meditation your top priority, is that puts the brakes on. So when you meditate and you breathe and you kind of allow all of this stuff to come up and out, you're actually activating what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, and which is the brakes. And now your body can actually stop and it repairs. You go into this state where it's like, okay, I don't need fight or flight, click that off. Now we can click on the reparation, and the body can repair itself. And now you're actually benefiting yourself so much more, because what happens when our bodies are functioning at an optimal level? Like, does anybody know? We would all be amazing superstars if we really tapped into our unique gift. Like Calvin was saying, I took in all this information and it was like, am I T. Harv Eker? Am I Tony Robbins? Am I the product of a baby of T. Harv Eker and Tony Robbins? Who am I? There's a reason that there's only one Tony Robbins out there, and the information is amazing and it's great. You take it in and use what resonates, and then make it your own. And you can only find yourself, like Calvin was saying, by going in and meditating and discovering and spending time with yourself. It's how you build any relationship. You don't just walk up to somebody on the street and go, hey, you look good, let's get married. No, you go on a date, you talk, you see if you're a good fit. Do I like this person? Do I not? You go on a couple more dates, or you say, hey, that was fun, let's not ever do this again. It's kind of what you're doing with yourself. You've got to get to know yourself. Who am I under all of this conditioning and crappy life experience? Who am I? and you let those come up, and you find out what amazing gift you have to offer, what wisdom you have to offer that nobody else in the world brings to the table but you as a unique individual. And so I hope this helps shift your perspective from, you want me to sit here and do nothing, to this is the absolute best thing, most valuable thing that I can do for myself, for my life, every area of it, and the people that I love.
No, it's great. I mean, and it's Stress Awareness Month, right? I think I saw an email about that. So,
I didn't know that was.
this will, yeah, right. This will help you deal with those types of stresses. And this is what we love to help people with, is to be able to manage it. Because, Christina's brought something to my attention that I laugh about, because, there's so many people out there go, just eliminate stress from your life. And Christina says, yeah, right, right.
You go to the doctor, and the doctor says, this stress is going to kill you. You've got to eliminate stress from your life. Like, you've got to get rid of your stress. And so what that does in our minds, in the back of our mind, we're going, well, life is full of stress. I can't eliminate it, and it's going to kill me. And then we ping pong between these two thoughts, and it's always hanging in the background going, I know this is going to kill me, but I don't have a solution. What am I supposed to do about that? It's not like the doctor can write you a prescription that says, here, this is going to help with your stress, right? So you can't get rid of stress. Stress is a natural part of life. Stress can actually be a beneficial part of life. Here's another perspective tweak. And I encourage you, if you haven't heard of Kelly McGonigal, go check out her TED Talk on the upside of stress. It's 15 minutes. It is amazing, and it will change the way that you think about stress and go, oh, okay, because that's the only solution you have, is to either get rid of stress in your life or change your relationship with it. And the only one that's possible is to change your relationship with it, because you can't get rid of it. So what if it is beneficial? What if we shift that perspective and see how can stress actually be our friend? Because the stress response was meant to keep us alive, right? And safe. So how do we then become friends with stress and use it to benefit us or motivate us to make a change in our life, instead of, running from a saber-toothed tiger? I don't know why that one always comes up, but we don't need it to do that.
That's the most recent one. That's the most scariest one, is the running from the saber-tooth tiger. It's only 10,000 years ago.
It happens to me all the time, every day. Whew, escaped again. So yes, reframing our relationship, reframing our thoughts. And that's why it's a perspective thing, is such a powerful, awesome solution.
Wonderful. All right, well, let's wrap it up. I know we both have calls to do, so, got to make it happen, because got to remain consistent when life happens. But we had this really great idea, and we wanted to share it with you. We hope you think it was amazing, like we think it's amazing all the time, because it's just, we're finding our own way and willing and wanting to share this with people because of how it affects people. So,
and the changes it's made in our lives, like massive changes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Hey everybody, this is Calvin, and this is
Crystena.
Thank you. Thank you for that. You want to try that again?
Yes.
Take 7. Okay.